I've spent my entire life in church. And so somehow I got into a mindset that this is a place that serves me, not the other way around. My husband and I left our longtime church 4 years ago, a place where we had been members 30 plus years. That's a lot of time. I had very comfortably sat and worshiped. I moved from that place to being on a church board. And I found myself involved in the politics of the church. And in a meeting, during a lot of contention and conflict and heated discussion, I got offended and hurt enough that when I got home, I said to Dan, I think I need a break. You know, I grew up in the church. I was born into the church. And in our culture, it has always been a place of safety. I was born in a segregated hospital. I grew up under Jim Crow segregation. There weren't, in my childhood, even in Colorado, a lot of places that were safe and that were accepting. That's really the better word. But the church always was. And maybe I took it for granted until it wasn't there anymore. About the time we left the church, Dan had been diagnosed with cancer. And so I'd shared on Facebook that Dan had this diagnosis. People saw it and called and sent cards, people from our longtime church, even though we had left. And everybody knew we had left. But they still, loved on him and loved on us. I'm sad that we let 3 years go by not thinking about what we had left and who we had left. The Lord helped me recognize that part of his healing was involved in the community that he loved. And so when he said he wanted to go back, I'm so grateful that whatever softening needed to happen in my heart allowed me to serve my husband. And then that next Sunday, we went back to the church, our longtime church. And there were the people, they just greeted us. All we heard that whole Sunday was, Pat, Dan. People said they were so glad to see us. I recognized that I wasn't there to judge what was preached or wasn't preached. I wasn't there to judge what was sung or not sung. I don't know if I would have come to this if we had not left for that short period of time. I wanted to be in control of things at church. And where did I get that? Where do people get that idea? Doggone it, I know how things ought to run around here. And I'm going to call the pastor and let him know or let her know. It's so liberating to recognize that's not what I'm being called to do. If I lean into the Lord's sovereignty, then I can serve in big or small ways. It doesn't matter. It's just being willing. A lot of our dissatisfaction with our churches becomes for each of us an opportunity to take it to the Lord in prayer. But I love what G.K. Chesterton said. If you don't like the preacher you have, pray for the preacher you have. You don't like the church you have, pray for the church you have. And so I always remember that. I'm just so grateful to have a church home and to recognize my church friends as really my family.